You're listening to Clearview Today with Dr. Abadan Shah, the daily show that engages mind and heart for the gospel of Jesus Christ. I'm Ryan Hill.
I'm John Galantis.
You can find us online at clearviewtodayshow.com, or if you have any questions for Dr. Shah or suggestions for new topics, send us a text to 252-582-5028, or you can email us at contact@clearviewtodayshow.com.
That's right, and you can help us keep the conversation going by supporting the show. You can do that by sharing it online with your friends and family. Leave us a good 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stars. Absolutely nothing less. We're going to leave a link in the description right there.
Cinco
Estaro. Yeah. So I had a conversation. We got a great show for you guys today. We're going to go ahead and bring Dr. Shah on in a few minutes. But I wanted to ask you this, Ryan. And I want to ask Dr. Shah this when he comes on too. I had a conversation with my wife last night that I didn't know would offend me, but it sort of offended me.
Okay.
But it offended me because I think she's right. And I don't want her to be right.
Oh.
But
well.
I can't refute her.
Sure.
She said that if a man, a red-blooded American man, sees a sign instructing him to do something, for instance, wet paint, do not touch, door broken or door locked, go around, they will, if nothing else, if not blatantly disobey it, they will attempt to disobey the sign. And I wanted to say no, that's not true, but then I started picturing myself walking down the hallway and seeing a wet paint sign on the wall. And the first thought that I had is you just touch it. But not like, I'm going to disobey the sign. I just need to see.
Right. Just let me make sure that it's actually still wet.
She said that counts. And she said that not only, even if you don't do it, the desire will be there to disobey the sign. I'm trying to find at least one man who says, no, that's not true. Not me. I don't care. I don't want
that's true.
You.
I don't know that I would actually, like, if it's wet paint, I don't know that I would go so far as to touch it, but I would certainly think about it.
If you saw...
I would have the intrusive thought, like, what if I just...
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's like me, it's like, I don't know what it is, but I just need to see if it's true.
Right.
I just need to see if it's right. And it's not like I'm going to smear it. I'm just going to dab it and see. And then, okay, it was wet. And then you wipe it on your jeans. And then later on, your wife asks, what happens?
Is that not a thing for women?
I don't think so. We need to have some women on the show.
I feel like we need to ask this. Like we'll break in just a second, but if you're listening out there, write in and let us know if you would take that, like, or if you would disobey the sign, if you have the intrusive thought to disobey the sign. This can't just be just men.
I asked 2 women who work here. I asked Melissa and I asked Katie. Both of them said they wouldn't even care. Like if they were walking down a street and they saw a painted wall and the sign said wet paint, she said I would glance at it and not care and move on. She said I wouldn't even stop. Katie said the same thing. I don't know what it is, but it's like the desire to disobey it just comes instantly, and I don't know why that is. And like, for instance, this isn't even disobeying, but it's like if you were walking down an alley or a room and you saw a door that said this door is locked in all caps, do you at least try the handle?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not crazy, right? You would try the handle.
Yeah,
Nicholas,
100%.
you would try the handle.
I would try the handle.
You would try. Yeah.
Absolutely.
You have to at least try it.
So I think this may speak to a larger truth where, as men, we are designed to be the ones who are kind of like taking the forefront and exploring and, adventurous and, we have that kind of hero mindset.
Yeah.
So I feel like this sort of speaks to that, whereas the women are more like, let's nurture, let's take care of the kids. And obviously I'm painting with broad strokes here. Right. But maybe there's something to that. Maybe that speaks to the differences that God has knit into us as men and women.
Let's ask Dr. Shah, because it can't be. If anybody can dig us out of this hole, it'll be him. There's no way he sits here and says, "Oh yeah, I'll touch the sign."
And here's my thing: like for too long, too many people were like, "Oh, a sign said this, I have to listen." Yeah. Like within the past few years,
true.
For too long, people were like, "Oh, a sign said that, I have to." I'm not being bossed around with a piece of paper.
That's another thing.
Yeah.
Who the heck are you to tell? I'll touch wet paint if I want to.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, wet paint, don't touch. Who are you? I don't work for your company.
Yeah,
I'll touch wet paint.
Thinking 8x11, you're not gonna tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Get out of here with that.
Get out of here.
What are you gonna do? Give me a paper cut?
I'll jiggle a doorknob. Get out of here.
Write in and let us know. All right, we need you to weigh in. Men, women, would you touch wet paint? Would you try to open a locked door based on what a sign says?
Right.
We gotta poll the audience. You gotta let us know.
Or if there's a light switch that says, "Hey, always leave on." Do you at least try to flip the light switch at least once? At least once. That's all.
To see what happens. I mean, what is it controlling?
I just don't understand how because both women that I asked were like, I just wouldn't even care.
How do
I
you
don't
not
understand
care?
that. That's what I don't understand.
That's foreign to me.
Yeah, I don't
Write in and
understand
let us
that
know,
at all.
252-582-5028, or you can visit us online at clearviewtodayshow.com. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hey, what's going on, listeners? My name is John.
And I'm Ellie.
And we just want to take a second and let you know about Dr. Shaw's new book on the market right now called Can We Recover the Original Text of the New Testament? Boy, that is a long title.
True, but it's a very simple message. The original text of the New Testament is not only attainable, but there are lots of different ways that scholars go about discovering it.
There's a lot of people out there saying that the original text is lost forever, or that it's hopeless to actually try to find it, or that there's many texts of the New Testament. But alongside Dr. David Allen Black, Dr. Shaw has actually compiled papers from some of the world's leading experts in textual criticism, including one written by himself on various methodologies for extracting the original text. And listen, if you're interested in textual criticism, this book is a great introduction to the field.
You can pick up your copy on Amazon, or you can buy it from our church website. That's clearviewbc.org. We're going to leave a link in the description box so you can get your copy today.
Love that. Ellie, let's hop back in.
Let's do it.
Welcome back to Clearview Today with Dr. Abadan Shah, the daily show that engages mind and heart for the gospel of Jesus Christ. You can visit us online at clearviewtodayshow.com, or if you have any questions or suggestions for new topics, send us a text to 252-582-5028.
That's right, and we're here in the Clearview Today studio with Dr. Abadan Shah, who's a PhD in New Testament textual criticism. Dr. Shah, one thing I've always noticed about you is you're pretty good at discerning human nature, just understanding, reading people, understanding why people do some of the things they do, knowing like the motivation or the psychology behind it. Why is it when someone puts up a sign forbidding something, a man will just be inclined to disobey? So if it says like, hey, there's wet paint right here, it's like, well, I gotta
touch it.
I just gotta
Just
touch
try.
it.
Maybe it's dry now. I gotta
Hey,
check.
just want to let you know this door is going to be locked for the rest of the day. At least I'll jiggle the handle. First questions first. Do you have any inclination to disobey a sign?
No.
No problem.
I have no problem. The sign says that. Now, if it's a sign that deals with my liberty, like this is my freedom, you're taking away my freedom, I don't know what it is in me that I'm going to fight back.
That's what Ryan said too. Like,
We
it's like,
talked about
hey,
that, yeah.
masks are required in this place. It's like, oh, now
you're little 8.5 by 11. You're not gonna tell me what to do.
Yeah. If now I'm in a hospital, gladly put it on. I don't think that's what they're supposed to do.
Right.
But I'll wear it because in the hospital.
Right.
Not because I feel like this little piece of rag is going to keep the germs out. I mean, I'm already in the hospital.
Right.
Way before I got inside the hospital, in the parking lot, I'm already sucking in all the germs that are coming out.
Right.
I mean, have you ever walked to the hospital?
Oh yeah.
Okay, look, I'm a chaplain, and I walk into the lobby the other day, and there's a man throwing up over there.
Well,
right in the lobby.
Not in the lobby, outside.
Oh, outside.
And I think his daughter was there with him. So I said, "Is he okay? Does he need help?" He's fine. He's fine. So I'm thinking, I'm standing here. He is, doing his thing.
Yeah, he's just going for
I
it.
mean, the germs are not like staying put.
No,
Right.
it's literally
That's not the way that it
It's
works.
the one place in town where all the sick people go.
Yes.
you hold them all
but
there.
I will wear it because, that may be something that may help someone else's emotional well-being.
But a gas station, a library, a Barnes and Noble, something like that. They're like, hey, a mask is required for entry onto the premise.
Yeah,
You're
it's just like, no, thank you. I'll leave.
yeah. I don't need your goods that badly.
But if someone's like, if you see a light switch and someone's like, hey, do not under any circumstances turn off, you're like, I don't care about that.
Yeah, I'm not going to try to purposely try to turn it off. No.
Why do you think a lot of guys do it? Why do you think because for me, when I see a wet paint, so I'm like, well, I just have to see.
we were talking about this in the beginning. Is this an exclusively masculine trait, or do women do this too?
I don't know. But I know this much. Maybe when they were kids, nobody, they say, honey, now go ahead and touch it. See how that feels?
It could be.
So I think they learned that growing up. It's like it's something, you just touch it. And see
just
how
see
you
what
feel.
it is. It's like, well, I just gotta. Or if it's like, hey, this door's locked. I'm like, I guess I just have to see if they're lying.
Maybe it's not locked.
Because what if it's unlocked and I'm like, well, now I kind of just got to see where it goes.
Now I'm committed.
And I'm like, oh, it's the broom closet.
Right.
There's no need for that.
Well, maybe it's a broom closet. Maybe it's the back door to Narnia.
That could be, man.
Ooh.
It could
A
be.
wardrobe looked like a wardrobe until it wasn't. I'm just saying.
Fair enough.
The verse of the day today is coming from 1 First Chronicles chapter 9, verse 27. And they lodged all around the house of God because they had the responsibility, and they were in charge of opening it every morning.
You know, I think about the responsibility that we have. You know, we talked about this a couple of episodes ago, the responsibility we have in putting together and in a sense, opening up the house of God to people who come together. It kind of gives you that weight, you know, that gravity. You know, I think you mentioned this in an episode now that we are sort of this royal priesthood, this Levitical line that was their responsibility to lead the people in worship. And so I think about that. Like, does that ever, like when you're driving to church on Sundays, does that gravity ever hit you? Like we're literally opening up the house of God for the people to come in.
Yeah. And again, before you send us letters and call us and tell us, it's not the building.
Oh,
of course we do
all
know
right,
that.
okay.
We do know that.
Right.
We do know that. This is the place where we meet.
There was some pretentious listener that was already typing.
Already typing is like the church
Put it down.
are the people.
It's like, I'm going to tell
Okay,
you,
we know, we got
that's
it.
just a bunch of wood. That's just a bunch of wood and brick, and it's not going to.
You know who the church is?
Who's that? It's us. Oh, I didn't think
Did
about
you know
that.
that?
No, I thought the actual bricks were going to get me into heaven.
Oh.
That's why we ordered the really expensive bricks so I could get into heaven,
The
dude.
extra sanctified ones.
Well, so it's kind of funny because we've been reacting to a lot of TikTokers.
Yeah.
And we were talking about it, and I said, you know, I don't want the show just to become TikTok reactions. And then I went home, and I saw one that really dumbfounded me.
But before we do that, let me just say this.
Yeah, go.
Sometimes we use terms and we use lingo that it's not because people are ignorant. You know, if you hear some pastor with a limited education in some country church saying something, you don't have to immediately jump on him and correct him,
Right.
and straighten him out. He is preaching the word.
Right.
He's trying to say it in a way that people understand and is connecting with them. So when people jump on that, that bothers me.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That bothers me.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a very easy one. You know, what time did the sun come out this morning?
6:30.
6:30, would you say?
Yeah, I was at 6:30.
6:30 sun came. Do you think sun comes out?
True.
Or one of the other ones. I get this one, but over time, I think this one's become diluted. But it used to be real bad when you can tell someone does not. This is not a rock concert. No one thinks that worship is a rock concert, but they'll use the word, "Hey guys, listen, we got a night of worship coming up, so make sure you have all your stuff practiced. Make sure you're ready because the night of the performance. Whoa! Night of the what?
Performance.
Not a performance.
This is not a performance,
Out of
sir.
my church.
This is not performance.
This is not performance.
Yeah. It's like, well, yeah, we get it.
I
we
understand.
Get it.
Right.
We
Yes.
understand. Nobody is trying to perform.
Yeah.
There may be churches out there, and there are. I know a few who are like very much, you know, they actually have lost people who sing
Yes, that's true.
and lead in worship, which doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know what you're doing, but something needs to change.
There are videos out there that actually advocate for it. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
A lot of YouTubers that I actually respected had put out videos talking about, yeah, I think, you know, what would you let a lost person park cars? Would you let a lost person greet people at the door?
Yeah.
Not really. No, no, I wouldn't.
Yeah, but
serve.
so I get it. I get what's going on, but at the same time, you know, here getting nitpicky over certain words, it's not mature.
That's right.
You know, understand the heart behind that pastor who said it that way, or that worship leader who said, "Hey, this is going to be a great performance." Don't immediately jump on him and try to straighten him out.
It's annoying.
It is annoying.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. If you were to tell him, "Hey, you know," putting everything aside, write down your philosophy. Unless he's a really corrupt person, he will tell you, yeah, it's my heart that's singing out to the Lord, and I want to
100%.
lead people to come to the throne of God and to really submit their lives to the lordship of Jesus Christ. I mean, they will say that.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
So just because they said performance, no need to jump on them.
That's right. That's right. Well, that's actually a great segue into this because we've got someone, we're reacting to someone today who put out, this is a long video, so we don't have to watch the whole thing, but very, very nitpicky about words. And I think coming from a place that's borderline dumb. Should we just watch it
Yeah.
and see what this guy says?
Sure.
Yeah, let's do it.
Nobody gave sermons in the Bible. Not one time. Nobody has ever known Jesus through a sermon, according to the Bible.
Wow.
Now, don't get me wrong, there have been people over the centuries who have heard sermons and believed. However, according to
Wait.
the Bible,
Can we stop for a second? Notice how he says that like it's no big deal. That's stupid. That's really dumb. Like, I get
They
it.
have heard
Someone's-
sermons and believe.
they got saved. But like, you should be celebrating that.
Even before he gets going further into whatever he's talking about, one thing that always gets me about guys like this
Uh-huh.
is it's almost like this self-assured smugness,
Mm-hmm.
like I'm going to drop some truth on you, and that's I hate
Look
to
at
say that.
go back to the very first frame. We're at 18 seconds. Look at his face. He knows I'm about to drop. He thinks I'm about to drop some.
I'm getting ready to wreck your
wisdom on
world.
you.
Here we
Yeah,
go.
it gets straight in the eye. And that way of thinking, again, I don't want to judge his motives there, but I struggle with pride. You struggle with pride. We all struggle with pride, and that's comes
pride.
from a place of pride is not a
100%.
good thing.
Absolutely.
When you're preaching, and if you have like this grand truth that you know it's going to be like people are going to do the wow,
Yeah.
just make sure you get before God and say, God, this truth is really from you. I
Yeah.
stole it from this commentary.
Right.
and I took it from this preacher. You gave it to me through them.
That's
This is
right.
not original to me.
There you go.
I am
That's
about
funny.
to dazzle these people in my church or whatever, but
Yeah.
God ultimately is you.
That's right.
you know.
That's
but
right.
anyways, let's
Yeah, let's
let's
hear it.
listen to this guy.
According to the Bible, sermons are not how you know the Lord. You know the Lord by hearing with faith. And you might say, well, you got to hear a sermon or else you can't hear with faith. Not according to Scripture. The early church did not give sermons, did not listen to sermons. The reason why you think
Wait. Pause a second. The early church didn't do that?
Yeah,
they would
that-
never do it. They gathered in the synagogues. They sang songs. They gave, and then they went home.
Where did our model for church come from? Where did the whole idea? Did it come from like where is he? Is he from Missouri somewhere? It sounds like that accent.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
Right.
It came. The first church were Jewish background believers.
Yep.
And guess where they were meeting?
In the synagogues.
In the synagogue. So if you really want to know where we get our pattern from, go to the synagogue.
That's right.
And not just any synagogue. Go to the synagogue of that first century and read and study about them.
What would he say? Would he say we got it from the Catholic Church or from ancient
I
Europe
don't
or something?
know where he is saying that. I mean, it's kind of silly to me.
Yeah.
Do your research, buddy.
Right.
Doesn't it say in Acts that they were preaching in the synagogues? They
Yeah,
were,
Paul would always go to the synagogues.
Uh-huh.
And then when the Jewish people would reject him, some would get saved, but then they would reject. Then he would go to the Gentiles.
Mm-hmm.
That was his pattern: going to the synagogue and then going elsewhere. We went to Berea. Remember
Yes,
Berea
remember.
in
Yep.
Greece?
Oh, you guys went.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we went,
Yep.
and we actually stood in the synagogue.
Yeah.
Now the real synagogue is kind of underneath
Mm-hmm.
there, but it's on the same property, same real estate, and it's sitting right by the river
Mm-hmm.
because sitting by the river helped them with all the purification they had to do, wash their hands and this and that, and the utensils. So it had to be by a body of kind of a moving water.
Right.
So that's where the synagogue was. You walked in there.
Yeah.
You and Elizabeth were there.
Yep.
And so, bottom line is this: our pattern for church was not taken out of a vacuum. And when he says they met from house to house, that's because they had grown by leaps and bounds that they could not fit in the synagogues.
But they were already preaching in the synagogues.
yes. So what is the pattern in the synagogue? It was singing and it
preaching.
was preaching.
Yeah.
What is it, David?
I texted you because I thought about it, but there's even I think it's in Matthew, I think, where Jesus went in the synagogue, opened Isaiah, and then
started
preached
preaching.
from Isaiah.
But he didn't use the word sermon.
Oh, that's what it is.
So he preached, but it wasn't a sermon.
It wasn't a sermon. He
What are we
preached.
doing? Like
I don't know.
splitting hairs?
Was it a message? I guess he. So
Maybe it was an anecdote. Maybe it was a homily.
That's
Maybe it
what
was,
Jesus
What are we
did.
talking about, people?
Let's see what he says. See what he says.
a sermon in order to understand who Christ is because of man-made tradition.
There it is. It's all about
Not
power.
because of anything that's in the Bible. The word sermon is not in the Bible.
You know what? The word-
Genesis to Revelation, we don't see that word even once. Now, many people will say, no, the Sermon on the Mount. There's a sermon right there. Jesus gave a sermon. Well, here's the thing. The words Sermon on the Mount are not in the Bible.
So
Okay.
That is a
So what?
subheading added by the publishers who were heavily influenced by the reformers. Now, they want Jesus to give a sermon. They want Jesus to be a pastor who is in charge of a church, kicks people out, lays down the law.
Wait, pause it.
Wait a minute.
I would
wants
love
that?
to hear. I would love to hear your story, brother. I mean,
Yes.
who
All
kicked
right.
you and your family out of the church?
Exactly.
There it
I'm
is.
Exactly.
sure there was a pastor somewhere who
Yeah.
maybe did it for the right reason or the wrong reason.
Here's the
But
underlying.
somewhere you got a little bit of
Dude got his behind kicked by a pastor.
we see right there
100%.
on their shoulder, right there. That's a chip on the
Uh-huh.
shoulder.
There's a
There it
chip.
is.
That's
There
it.
is.
That's it right there.
Oh, that's
It's
actually
peeking
a
out from
Pringle.
behind your shoulder.
That's actually a Pringle. You need to clean yourself up, brother.
Yeah.
So I mean, we get it. You know, there may be pastors who did it. You know, some church discipline, or maybe they were just mean. I don't know.
Yeah.
But apparently, he has a
Who
bone to
wants,
pick.
who
That's-
wants
that's the
Jesus to
beef.
be a pastor and kick people out of the church?
No one
Who
ever
wants
said that.
Keep going.
All right.
Christ won't have that though. Jesus said this in Matthew chapter 20. You will not lord over one another. And those who give sermons lord over
There it is.
everybody.
Wait.
There it is.
So giving a sermon means lording.
Yeah, you're raising yourself up as a moral authority to speak down onto people. That's what a sermon
That's the
is.
problem.
Got you.
Okay. All right.
Well, yeah,
it's
that's-
all becoming
yeah,
clear
that's
now.
true.
Did
That's-
he wear a mask during the COVID
Oh, yeah.
pandemic? That's what I want to know.
Say,
100%.
say you wore a mask without saying you wore a
100%.
mask. Keep him going.
Absolutely.
Let's see what he says. This is a long video.
One main member gives a monologue once a week, and you are supposed to fall in line, listen to what they say, and what they say goes, or else you're done for.
Yeah,
Listen
that's
and
church
obey,
hurt right there.
Pastor. He gives the sermon. You gotta hear the word. That is where the body of Christ has fallen off course.
Wrong.
When we go to the Bible and we search for our gatherings, we only see one section of the Bible that says when you gather. And that is 1 Corinthians chapter 11 through chapter 14.
Still the word of God, though.
Also wrong.
Do we see anybody giving a sermon? No. Do we see anybody in charge with a top-down system? You listen to what one person says, everybody else falls in line, and that's it.
That's not
wasn't
what a
Timothy-
sermon. What does that have to do with a
Yeah.
sermon?
Wasn't Timothy instated as a pastor of a church?
That's right.
What does any of that have to do with a sermon?
Yeah, I think this is kind of like an excessive grace only type movement. I think it comes from that. It seems to me.
He's a universalist.
I don't know. I don't know enough about him to know that. But you know, people like that, when they start pontificating like this, the very thing that he's accusing everybody else of is the thing that he's doing.
He's struck,
Exactly
yeah.
right. I was just thinking that. I'm like, you're setting yourself up as this authority figure that's telling us how church ought to or ought not to be run. Aren't you doing the same thing that you're
doing the
accusing
same
people
exact
of?
thing. No, I'm not. Let me tell you why I'm not. That's what he'll do.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
because it's all liberated. See, I think you're right. I didn't
This
even
is
think
not a
about
church.
it.
I'm
Yeah.
just talking to you as a brother in Christ. Buy my book.
Right, there it is. Yep.
Follow me on TikTok.
Wait. Go to my website and there's a button called Give. Hit that button.
Sure.
And if the Lord lays on you, if you don't want to give, brother, I totally understand.
You let some of that ugliness out because this whole thing was about a sermon. Now it's about one man in authority. What does that have to do with a sermon?
Yep.
Right.
There are people in the church. There's a lot of churches where some of the members will get up and preach a sermon. That's not them lording over everyone. There's no hierarchy there.
No.
Right.
Anyway.
Right. And so, you know, stuff like this is part of the body of Christ. I would not say he's not a Christian. As long as he knows Jesus Christ is God's son who gave his life for him. I mean, I believe he's saved. Again, I can't judge his motives and his heart. But when you do things like that and you are judging people, he should be ashamed.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
so too. We're running a little short on time, so I don't want to. Do you want to hear any more, or are you? Have
can
pretty
if
much
you want
heard?
to.
Well, I was going to ask you to kind of go into your history of preaching, like how you got into preaching, what it means to you, how you prepare a sermon. But if you want to just play maybe 30 more seconds, see if he says anything else.
No, none of that. We see a family.
He does have good
We see a
teeth.
group.
He does have very good teeth.
His mustache is on
they
point.
might
I'll
not
give
be
him that.
real.
Yeah.
Members. Do we see anybody giving a sermon? No, not once. Nobody gives sermons in the Bible. So why do we see sermons as the air quotes best part of service?
What did Peter
First
do
of all-
on Pentecost?
Yeah. I mean,
Also, what did Jesus do? So here's something that TikTok influencers do and internet influencers will do. They'll drop some new information on you, but they won't elaborate. Hey, Jesus never once gave a sermon.
yeah.
All right, prove that. No, he never once gave a sermon. Let's move on, because he didn't give a sermon. We can all agree on that, right? The Sermon on the Mount, it wasn't a sermon. Okay, well,
Because the Bible didn't call it a sermon?
yeah, what was it? We're not going. Look, it wasn't a sermon. So sermons, and just move on. They never they never back up their claims and say, all right, it wasn't a sermon. Here's what it was. So what was the Sermon on the Mount?
Yeah.
What was the sermon in the temple? What was the sermon in Isaiah where he read out Isaiah? What was it?
The Bible also doesn't use terms like gravity or thermonuclear dynamics, but that doesn't mean that those principles didn't exist.
Right. And, you know, it's coming out of a place of ignorance. It's coming out of a place of hurt for him. And again, I can't judge his motives, but it just seems like just when you listen to a person like that and what they are highlighting and emphasizing, it seems like he has a bone to pick with the organized church.
Yes.
And I get it. There might be churches out there that are not nice people, who've done things that are not right, and pastors who have set up a bad example of hypocrisy and immorality. I get it. They don't need to do that. We're not trying to defend those kind of things, but does that mean that we can wholesale throw everything out? You're trying to be a teacher.
Right.
Yes, 100%. And this sounds like, well, number one, that means you're going to be held to a higher standard. But also, number two, it seems like this is a exacerbation of. Do you guys remember the whole Christianity good, religion bad thing?
Oh, yeah.
Like why I love Jesus.
It's not
and
a
hate-
religion, it's a relationship.
Yeah. It's why I love Jesus and I hate religion. It seems like now it's like Jesus good, church bad.
Yeah.
The church is bad. The church is corrupt, and it always has. been.
Yeah, and it's sad. It doesn't need to be like that. I think people like him, they're gonna have to be accountable for what they're doing because I used to work in the secular field. I worked in a warehouse. I worked in the school system, and then I worked in a Christian school. I was a principal.
Right.
I've done work like that. I used to work security when I was in college, and I remember seeing not security was back in the 90s, and there was no phone like we have today, but I remember doing other kinds of jobs, and people would come with, hey, check out this video. Check out this video, man. Man, that guy right there makes sense. I mean, he makes sense right there. There will be unsuspecting men and women who will take that garbage and they will run off of that, and because they feel like they found something unique. They have found something. They have found Eureka. This is it. I found the truth, some radical truth that all these people have lost, and here I am. And it's personally, I think it's the distraction of the enemy, and it all it does is that person now is going to run around thinking, I'm going to drop truth on you, and I'm going to drop truth on you because I found somebody on TikTok or YouTube. I'm going to show you this. I'm showing you that. Okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully that fills your bucket, because I don't think that really is what God desires from us.
Yeah. And that kind of spirit is a prideful
It's not a good spirit.
Yeah, and you see it in all these influencers. That woman that we saw on Wednesday,
the worship
that one,
lady.
she had it, and this guy has it. But it's definitely this prideful, this smug, this like I'm enlightened. And man,
Did you notice that their eyes look the same? And
they're dead.
Yeah.
They're completely dead, and just see it like they're looking right through you.
Yeah.
You sheep. You transparent sheep.
Gross.
Do you want to just really quickly, because I don't want to leave on such a negative note, do you want to quickly just talk about like our heart behind the preaching here at Clearview, and like how maybe either how you got started preaching, how you've grown in your preaching throughout the years?
Absolutely. I don't believe the preaching is like the high moment. I believe everything you do in the church service is important. The worship time is a beautiful time where people set aside everything and then they turn their hearts towards God in gratefulness. Gratefulness for how good He is to them. Gratefulness for the salvation that came through us through Jesus Christ, His Son, the promised one. Gratefulness for His word, for His promises. Gratefulness for what is coming in the future. That's worship.
Right.
Why would we talk down about that? Why should it be just leading up to the preaching moment? No,
Right.
It's important. Worship is important. And then preaching is also important, because this is the moment you hear the word of God. This is the moment where you're hearing truth and doctrine and exhortation and even conviction and an invitation for you to give your life to Christ, either now or later on. It's a wonderful time.
That's right.
The ministry of the word. And then comes a time of giving. Whether you give monetarily or give your service to the Lord, all this is part of that hour of coming together as believers, and then prayer. Prayer was also very important.
Yeah.
So the ministry of the word is very important.
Maybe this isn't a great way to think about it, but it's always the way I've thought about it. Is like anytime you have communication, you have a time of talking and a time of listening. Like I can't just talk at you.
Right.
I have to also be able to listen to you. So also with God, it's like when we worship, that's our response to who He is. That's our response of thanksgiving and praise. But it seems like without preaching, all I'm doing is talking at God. I'm not listening to Him. I'm not taking in the word at all. I don't care what He has to say to me. I'm just going to say all the stuff that I want to Him, worship and leave.
Right.
But without that preaching, what do you have?
And the preaching is so important because it helps keep us in that family that he talks about it in the video where they're families, they're groups. The reason we are united and the reason we are cohesive like that is because we sit under the same preaching together.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
We're united in our mission as a church body.
Yeah, we're united in mind. And that doesn't happen. I mean, truly, I don't see how Christians can be united of mind without sitting under the same preaching.
Right.
We're all reading from the same Bible, but you clearly we're all not on the same page.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So good. If you guys enjoyed today's episode, write in and let us know, 252-582-5028, or you can visit us online at clearviewtodayshow.com. Don't forget you can partner with us financially on that same website. Scroll to the bottom, click that donate button, and let us know it's coming from our Clearview Today Show family. Hope you guys have a wonderful weekend worshiping together with your church family in God's house.
There you go.
Join us next week.
Don't leave during the preaching.
Don't
stay
leave
for
during
the
the
preaching. Don't let this guy affect you, man.
Stay for the worship, stay for the preaching, stay for the announcements so you know what's coming up. Join us on Monday. Lots of great content coming your way. We love you guys. We'll see you Monday on Clearview Today.